Welcome to Eye Level to High Level, where real talk meets real results. I'm Jimmy Rios, and each week we break down the mindset, money moves, and strategies you need to elevate your life and business. Let's level up. Welcome to the Eye Level to High Level podcast. My name is Jimmy Rios. I am the owner of Rios Business Advisors, and I'm a big proponent of getting help. And I've been doing this for over 20 years, and I love what I do. The passion that I have is because I love helping others. Made many mistakes myself over the process of building a business and a family structure and doing the things I'm doing to help others. I've noticed that I needed help myself in doing that. And today I have a very special friend, friend first, business colleague second, who I admire and trust with my life. I love what she's been able to do over the years. She's been an example for me. I think some of the reasons why I do the things I do is because I take the best from others and emulate that. And I want to be that pillar of understanding that I don't know everything. And so I seek knowledge and expertise from others. And Debbie's been a big catalyst for me over the years. Debbie Merrick is her name, and she's here with us today. And she is a woman with a vision. She always has been, and I want her to tell her story a little bit, and then we're going to dive a little bit into more of the granular, the finite things in business that some of you need to listen to and hear, because it's not all just beautiful things and flowers and roses. There's going to be some work behind the scenes that needs to get done, and so we're going to talk real about business and advising and some of these things that many of you as entrepreneurs face and how we can help. Debbie, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
So great to have you.
I'm so excited. Because we've known amazing. Each other a long time.
Tell us a little bit of who you are, how we met, what you're doing.
Well, I'm really just an entrepreneur myself. I had a luxury home and gift business in Old Town Scottsdale between 2007 and 2010, and that was after I worked for someone else, and I had experience in building custom furniture, designing furniture for people, and I didn't know what it was to be an entrepreneur until I was thrown into it, because I was a commission salesperson. Like, I appreciated the fact that I was creating my own money with my own talents, but I didn't really understand the structure of running a business until I had the bricks and mortar retail business, and of course my husband Darrell and I got into that in 2007, and we had investors, we had business funding, we had credit cards, all of that stuff. And I just didn't understand the financial side of it. Wow. I understood the retail, the sales part of it, the buying, the fun stuff, which obviously it's great when you're selling, but then you have to restock. It's very heavy inventory, high cost of, the rent and the advertising and all that stuff. So we actually did the very best, and it was during that 2008 correction, the correction that everybody that I know has had some story around that. And so in 2010, we did close the business, and we definitely went through some very difficult times. I mean, the thing is, we actually got married in 2011 after we pretty much lost everything. And it just really, our faith, really grew through all those challenges and all those things. And people were like, well, you don't have any money, so why are you getting married? And I'm like, God, just wants us. And we were already together for 10 years, and we'd done a lot of things together. But to me, it's just, after that, having that experience, I just became really passionate about being a business advocate. Wow. Because I wanted to help people not make the same mistakes
That's so great.
that I was. And that was about the time, like that 2012,
Yeah.
the time that we met.
Right.
And I
Well,
just really, knew that you had so much knowledge and you were putting things into practice.
Right.
And then, of course, both of us have had, our ups and downs.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until actually 2018 where I actually worked in business development for a wealth management company that was working on the 1% strategies of specialty tax.
Wow.
And I didn't understand that there were a lot of benefits if people had W-2 employees.
Right.
And especially, that 5 employee above structure. And you could actually take advantage of the tax code
Right.
of like the Fortune 500, like the Amazon and
Yep.
some of these, people are like, well, these guys don't pay that many taxes.
The
Well,
high
guess
level.
what? Yeah, the high level.
High level.
The high level.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was really like getting an MBA in
Your own education.
specialty tax. Yeah.
Right.
And to be honest with you, I didn't really make very much money. It was kind of, the company was trying to do too many things.
Sure.
At one time, but I learned about hedge funds. I learned about just, you and I were working on like a private equity deal
Right.
right before COVID
Yes.
in Mexico. And, then COVID happened.
Boom.
And so it was like, whoa,
another
it's
change
like,
comes in.
Yeah. And so I really, at that point when it started, I mean, Darrell and I were, just because we didn't want to stay in the house, we were doing Uber Eats. We were doing all kinds of things just to keep, active and pay our bills and do some of the stuff. So it wasn't until September of 2021 that I reconnected with somebody who also was doing business development with that wealth management company. And he started telling me about the COVID relief money for W-2 employers. And I was like, what's that? I was like, I have no idea. And I said, and at the time I was like, I don't feel very qualified to do this because I don't have W-2 employees. I'm not like a tax person. So how am I going to be involved with this? And he said, hey, he's like, if you just refer clients to us, we have the CPAs that are doing the work and, I'll just, pay you to do lead generation, basically.
Wow.
And so what we did was we actually put together a program and we started getting referrals from all different types of industries, especially like chiropractors and construction and just all kinds of different, business. Yeah, all kinds of different industries. And all of a sudden, I was not only changing my life financially, but I was also giving hope to all of these business owners. And I had about 1,000 discovery calls that I did during that, especially that 2021, 2022.
Right.
And I heard horrific stories of perseverance and tragedy and all of these things that people, if they didn't have employees during COVID in bricks and mortar, they don't necessarily know exactly what was really going on.
Yeah.
And I never, blame people or I mean, it's just a different experience that people were having. But I mean, I worked with people probably in 35 different states.
Wow.
And so I knew firsthand about the tyranny of what was going on because when I had my retail business, if I had 3 people in my store, it was a party. And the fact that the Costco's and the grocery stores and all those people could stay open, but like the little salon or the med spa or, they had to shut down.
The small to medium-sized business that is what I call unrefined, or in my world, at the eye level, that don't have some of the high-level tactics, the monies, the ability to just pivot, right? Those are very difficult when you're running a store, when you're running a shop, when you're day-to-day, and you don't know, like you said, if you have 3 people in my store, it's like a party. When is the next check coming, money coming? When is the next sale coming?
$500 sometimes is like the
most
difference
minimal
between
amount
a good
of
month
money
and a bad month.
Can be like a lifeline. Right. And I can attest to that struggle
Me too.
from the perspective of a business owner in a small, medium-sized world, which I think is we can share in the commonality that helping others in this business front is very important, because that area of concern is extremely high. You could be the best mechanic in the world, right?
Right.
You can turn wrenches like no other, but what happens when the calls don't come in? What happens when you go through a period of slowdown because, hey, for whatever reason, people aren't needing their car fixed at the moment, but your bills keep coming?
Yeah, those don't change.
Those don't stop, right?
Oh.
What contingencies do we have in place to have monies coming in some way or form to keep you alive, to keep your style of life going? And many of us that have struggled in that arena have experienced some heavy duty burdens in overcoming that. You mentioned Darrell, right? Darrell, tell us, Darrell's your husband.
Yes.
And you guys have been together for how many years?
24 years.
24 years.
Yeah.
Tell us, because my wife's in the business, and how important and or difficult has it been, right? Give us the scoop in bringing yourself through a business together, because he has his own business too, right?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that dynamic.
So what was really amazing, and still is to this day, is that he is literally the CFO. Like, he's the one that keeps all the finances. He set up all the payroll, because we paid over $600,000 in referral fees over the last few years, and still building. And it's like, I didn't understand that. Again, that's not my forte.
Right.
Like, I'm the visionary. I'm the connector. I love to just negotiate contracts, doing different things like that. So to have him as the backbone financially, and especially because now we're like making different investments and different things. And so I couldn't do this without him. Like, there is no question about it. And because we do different things in the business, we don't really overlap a lot. There's been a little bit because he's stepping into more of the AI space, and I'm doing a little bit of sales
marketing
on that.
Right?
And we're trying to kind of put something in place for him so that it's not me. Because we love working together. I mean, because we have the time freedom and we travel and we do different things. So it's just, which I know you and Sylvia do too.
Yeah, you guys just came back from Roatan.
Yes, Honduras, which was amazing.
We'll talk about that.
Yes, I know. So, so that part of it. But the hardest part when you're working as a couple is to separate that time that you are husband and wife.
Yeah.
Because I know my place as second, in the household, under the man of the house,
Sure.
And just because I am a stronger, personality, and I'm a driver, but I know that, from a godly place, that he is the head of the household, and making that time away from the business.
Yes.
So that we're not doing everything with the business.
Totally. I think balance is such a fundamental part of a good structure in the family, in the marriage. Me and my wife, we work extremely hard, even on vacation, but there's times where we have to disconnect, and we have to come back to our nucleus and our dynamics as a couple, as a family, and do the things that we need to do. And that's difficult. That's a difficult balance, because our phones, our emails, these things keep us tied, and we want to solve problems. So we get an email, and all of a sudden, she was talking to me about something, and I get diverted, right?
Yeah.
And she feels that, or vice versa.
Yeah.
Right. Many times I've been talking to her, and she's like, "Huh." I'm like, you didn't hear anything I said?
We do, he gets mad at me.
It's not because I don't love you.
Right.
It's because, but this is what I'm saying, is being conscious in our efforts, right? And so it's very difficult, and that's something that we got to work on. I mean, it's just, that's our own defects, and we each have them, right? Because as a couple, we have them. But it's a beautiful thing to work together.
Yeah, the differences really complement.
Right.
And I know you guys are the same way.
My wife is totally the opposite. She's analytical. She's, you know, and I'm the voice. I go out and I'm marketing.
Talk.
Yeah.
Right, I know.
Let's go into a little bit of business right now because we built a company, high level to high level program inside of Rios Business Funding and Rios Business Advisors. And this program was meant to build on the third and fourth quadrant of the Robert Kiyosaki cash flow quadrants. For those that don't know, you know, in the cash flow quadrant, there's the employee or the W-2, you know, you're an employee exchanging time for money. And then you go into a better quadrant, but not so better at the same time because you're self-employed, but you don't really have a system. So you might be wearing more hats, spending more time. You go on vacation and you're not generating income. So you don't really have a system, and it could go away really quickly. So you have like a glorified 9 to 5, right, or job. And it's not 9 to 5, so that's the difference. Then you go into the third and fourth quadrant, which we talk about as the third quadrant is having a system, right? Where you're an owner of a business, but now you have a system where you're leveraging other people's time in the form of delegating duties and tasks to employees or contractors or other people that are helping you do those tasks. Now that we have AI, virtual assistants, different things. But now you're buying back your time. You now have more time to do things that you want to do, passion projects, vacation, whatever. And then we have the fourth quadrant, which is money making money, right? So now you become an investor of sorts because in your system, you have money coming in and you're putting money to work. My partner, Brian, says that money that's sitting, not doing anything for you, is called unemployed money. We put money to work. So we employ your money to make money and build like what we call the third arm of income that comes to help you stabilize your business. It helps you pay off debt. It helps you save for the future. It does other things. If properly managed and run, this could be a big plus, which many businesses don't have, right? And so I want to talk a little bit on Debbie's side because she's been both in the trenches in those quadrants that we were talking about. Now she's developing systems and she's an investor in different projects. Tell us, what are some of the challenges from a perspective of the first two quadrants to making that transition into the third and fourth quadrant, and then ultimately bridging yourself over to working with me and my team in building that platform that we're starting to do with you now that you have a little bit of time under your belt?
Well, again, I mean, because I've been a commission salesperson, I had that mindset even before I work for myself.
Right.
I always had that ownership mentality, and I would say if you're one of those people that in your job, or if you're still in that, it's like that's never going to change. Like if you really got that mindset, you can really be a candidate for 3 and 4.
Right.
It's just the people that I find that I maybe like even talk to them about some of these growth strategies. It's like they're so corporate, maybe they're making 6 figures,
right,
but they're just not in the mindset of taking calculated risks.
Right.
Because you have to be willing to do that when you invest.
Right.
Like you can't just think like, oh, I'm going to make like my 4% or 5% on my 401k,
right,
and get my match, and that kind of like that doesn't work. That mindset doesn't work in that quadrant 3 or 4,
right.
Because
that what you're talking about is what we call the investment quadrant. And in investing, many of us are led to believe, or we get indoctrinized that the only way to invest is to put money in a 401k or over a long period of time, and we only know certain avenues like the stock market. Or they'll teach you 12% annually is a good rate, or 15 or 20 when you're talking annual percentage rates, and you have no concept of what high level interest rates can be in terms
Right.
of making money. So when somebody comes at you and says, well, that's annually, which if you break that down to a month, you're only making 1% on your money
Yeah.
every month. If you're lucky,
Yeah, if you're lucky.
right? Because some people have it in savings accounts or even lower interest bearing accounts
Right.
on the thought process of compounding, but compounding over a very long time, right? What if we could do the same effect over 6 months or 12 months with a higher level tool of leverage, right?
Yes.
That's where education comes in. And many of us don't have that or didn't have that. We open our minds to thinking differently, though. That's where mindset comes in, right? Because even for our experience in this, when I brought this thought process to Debbie, who's of a lot of trust, right? When I brought it to my wife, who's somebody I've been with for years, and it took her just as long to come into the realm, there was an understanding or a period of time that was needed to understand the mechanics of how something like this could work. Now tell us, this program is called the eye level to high level program of helping you take an investment to another level in your life.
Right.
How did you do it?
Okay.
And tell us the steps you took, because from August to December, I think that was kind of the time frame that you were perusing and thinking and due diligence.
Right.
Tell us where that mindset shifted and when you jumped in and said, let's go.
Well, obviously, I was paying attention to what you were doing, and you were doing all kinds of presentations, and you were getting some of your first case studies,
Yes.
which was really important for us because we do recommend different growth strategies as far as DM business advisors are concerned, but we just wanted to make sure that, like, hey, if we're going to really recommend this, you know, we wanted to see the case studies, and then we ourselves, we actually used OPM, other people's money.
Wow.
So we used the credit stacking strategy.
Methodology.
Yes. And so we got a line of credit that was 0% interest for 12 months.
Right.
And we, you know, risked a little bit of money
Sure.
that we felt like, okay, based on the money that we're making, this is not going to, you know, wipe us out.
Sure.
So we felt like this was like a good calculated risk for an investment. And of course, we had that time, you know, to pay it back without feeling like we had just a real stress, you know, on that. So then, of course, we, you know, signed up for this, and we started in December, but really there wasn't any activity until the end of January.
Yeah.
And which was fine, because what I liked about your experts is that they don't trade on days where they think that they could have a real problem or volatility. Yeah, the volatility.
Yeah.
So
we say, let's play a good defense to get a good offense.
Right.
So if that means we have to go take a zero for the day, Warren Buffett says rule number one is don't lose your money.
Yeah.
So if you can get to zero for that day, that's a plus.
Yeah.
Right? Because if tomorrow I can make one
Yes.
and then compound on that, on the next day make two, right? What's the cumulative effect of making those defensive moves in not risking the loss part of it?
Yes.
Now, there's not to say that there can't be loss,
Right.
right? Everything in life has an up and down model.
Sure.
But we've taken steps inside of our model to securitize and safeguard your initial monies
Yes.
that came in.
Yes.
That's a big differentiator, because if you put money in Robinhood and you swipe left or right and sell whatever, you don't know tomorrow when something in the markets change and your stock was at 1,000, now it's at 500.
Right.
Now you sell. Now what? You got to start from the bottom, right, to try to recover, right?
Sure.
But if you're at ground zero, you still have your money intact. Well, we can't foresee what the future holds, but you know for a fact that what you started with, if you took withdrawals and you got your money back, then everything else you're playing on the house money, right?
Yep.
And then if you start using the mentorship and the guidance to do other things, estate planning, wills, trust, life insurance, where now the barriers of entry for those things are taken away through the platform, because now you're not using your hard-earned cash, you're using one side of the equation to help you build the puzzle pieces of your vision.
Yep.
Right? This is where it's very important, because for Debbie and Darrell, Dee, we're working with them as partners in progress to help further their cause, because you have a vision. You're a visionary, right? Tell us what is that vision?
Well, we are actually right now, we're putting together one of the first AI generated business concierges.
Wow.
So we have been working with First Movers Labs. It's an AI company that they have actually built out an avatar so that people, and the woman who owns the company, Julia McCoy, who's a really close friend of mine, she actually has one of the first fully functioning YouTube channels that has her avatar.
Wow.
So she built it to over 140,000, and she was just on Dr. Phil, and she also had a keynote in Australia where her avatar spoke for her. And so we are using it's
an avatar.
Her, yeah.
And it's all AI?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And so what's really amazing is that she has it on her website, and so we're going to be, it's like, I like using the word avatar versus clone, because that's really what it is. But they work with a technology called HeyGen that is able to do this in your likeness with your image and your
I just started researching
voice.
HeyGen. Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, so they actually are a partner with them. Wow. So I really recommend that you work
we'll
with Julia.
We'll talk
about that
more often.
Yeah, but it's just, the thing is that what we want to do is have an AI generated consultant, so that, because I have been asked to recommend different strategies for our clients, because when we did the COVID relief, we had successfully connected over 400 business owners to the CPAs and generated about $40 million to put back in the economy, which was really cool. So again, because we found that money for people, now we want to help them grow that money or other money in their businesses. And so that's definitely part of what we're building on this, because, like I said, I really don't want to be the only person who is working, you know, and so to leverage yourself, and which I've already done it successfully with our referral programs, which we have strategic partnerships with different companies, and I have different people in different industries that bring us clients, so that we're not having to do all the advertising.
It's called the power of leverage and everything that you do with efficiencies of scale, right? There's only one Debbie, there's only one Darrell, but ultimately the limitations in time, right, you need to facilitate other methods or methodologies to duplicate the message that we're trying to give out, the help that we're trying to do, right? At some point, we need to start moving our system and going wide and being able to help more people. Unfortunately, we can't be on Zoom calls every single day. We're talking about balance here, right? So if I can duplicate myself and use technology in that fashion, that's what she's talking about, utilizing the powers of AI. Those that don't work through and learn about AI will be left behind.
Yeah, and actually my husband was an AI scientist back in the 90s.
What?
And so he's a
one
programmer.
Of the pioneers inside of that?
Yes, so that's so what happened actually when we were doing the COVID relief money, the ERC, is that we actually set up a whole process for document collection for automation that was in that AI automation space. And we didn't even know that that's what we were like ahead of the curve.
That's amazing.
And that saved us like a $50,000 employee.
Wow, that's amazing. Let's not be scared of AI. I know that there's a lot of
Yeah.
fear in the marketplace because people are saying, well, it's going to take over our jobs. It's going to, make me unemployed. Well, let's talk about that. If you're scared of these technologies taking over, then you need to start being accountable to yourself to start learning, right? And if your job is talking about laying off this and that, then we've got to start talking about how you can start building yourself a system so that you're not dependent on what the markets do, right? And that's where we become very effective because we can take a regular Joe at this eye level who has no clue about business, and we can elevate you and put you in a position of power where you have monies coming in, you can still find passion in what you want to do, you can have the freedom of time, right? And these are some of the things that we talk about that are very different from just clocking in and clocking out, right? We start putting things in place to start buying back your time and having a life. Debbie, time goes so fast. But give us your words of wisdom and how can we, or the people that are listening, reach you and take us out.
Okay. Well, like I said, I would just appreciate you bringing me on, and I just am excited about what you're doing and what we're doing together. And you can reach me at Debbie at dmbusinessadvisors.com, or you can go to DM Business Advisors on like LinkedIn, on Facebook, and we actually even have a networking Facebook group that I can connect you guys to, because I love to connect people, and my word of wisdom is don't do business alone.
Totally.
Just get a community around you of people
Speaking my language.
that can lift you up, give you encouragement, connect you for referrals, because that's a big deal. I mean, I get referrals almost every day, and it's fun because I'm solving problems.
That's it.
And if you can solve bigger problems, a lot of times you get paid better.
That's awesome.
It just happens that way.
See, this is what I'm talking about. The girl with a vision comes over and bridges over to the vision to victory, which is what we're building as a community, right, to help all of you. And I want you all to take this, listen to it, apply it to yourself. Let's take ourselves to a higher level. Let's start thinking differently. Let's embrace mind, body, and spirit for everything that it is. Always the highest glory to God for everything that we have.
Amen.
Because without God, we can't do anything, right? And let's go to the next level. Let's help ourselves. Debbie, thank you again for being on the show.
Yeah,
we'll talk to you guys later on the next one. Always going up. Thanks for tuning in to Eye Level to High Level. If you're ready to rise above the average, subscribe, share, and follow us for more ways to take your grind to greatness. Until next time, keep pushing higher.